This story is our story, which so often goes untold. The story of those left sitting by the curb, waiting for a ride that may never arrive. The story of how so many disabled in Ontario are left stranded, idling.
We live brighter lives on the darker side.
Cabs are really one of the better solutions currently in London. Cabs are usually what I tend to use if I need to use an outside source of transportation that isn't walking myself. It was late November. Some friends of mine decided we wanted to go to a movie. It's before exams, and we just wanted to sort of relax. I called to make the booking, and the company said no, they didn't have the ride when I wanted to. We were trying to go to the 9 o'clock show, and they said, well, we can't get you at 8. We can get you at either 9 or at 7. So I said, okay, but I need a return as well for 11. And they said, yeah, no problem, we'll give you 11. Which, I thought that was a pretty good deal, because normally you don't get the return times. The cab system is bogged down with the same problems that paratransit is facing, in that there aren't enough cabs. Often they're only running 2 or 3 cabs at once. It's interesting, they say that they have 9 accessible cabs. What they don't tell you is that usually there's only 2 on the road, sometimes only 1, and rarely there are 3. And because of this, you have such a small number of cabs trying to service such a large group of people that rides are often delayed, again, sometimes up to an hour, sometimes worse, and people get lost, people get forgotten, where it's just simply too busy and the cab doesn't show up. Bookings are mistakenly entered, what have you. The result is that people are getting left. When you get a ride, usually you gotta book about a day in advance, which is a little better than paratransit. It's better, and there is that flexibility. And the odd time you will call, and luck of the draw, you can get a ride maybe in an hour, which is unbelievable. But usually you gotta book about a day in advance, at least the morning of, to go out later that day or that night. And usually the cab is about, 15-30 minutes late, give or take. So you take that into consideration when you make your booking. The problem is that when they are late, you call the cab service and they don't seem to really have any idea where the cab is. And they're usually not able to give you a real good, solid answer as to when that cab will show up. So you're left waiting. Or even worse, they'll call to book a ride and the cab will say, yeah, our drivers aren't going to stay out past midnight. So you have to go home at midnight, or you don't get a ride home. Then after the movie, I get outside, it's about 11 o'clock. Nobody's here. We waited for about 30 minutes. And finally I decided, this is ridiculous. So I picked up my cell phone and I started calling. And I'm calling back and they're saying, there's nothing we can do. We told the guy to get you. We don't know why he isn't there yet. Just keep waiting. So finally, it's about 2 o'clock at this point. My friends, we're all tired. It's been a long day. And finally we decided, enough is enough. So I called them up and I said, where is this guy? And they said, we don't know. He's supposed to be on his way. He said he's already been there and you weren't waiting there. And I was like, I'm right here on the steps. I've been here the whole time. I haven't gone anywhere. With the cabs, the urge to walk home yourself is so much greater, because it is so expensive. The question that I always ask myself is, why am I waiting 30 or 40 minutes for a service that's going to demand of me to pay $20 or $30? It's not right, but people take it into their own hands and they say, you know what, if you're not going to provide the service that I'm asking for, then I'm not going to use you and you're going to lose out on that fare. Which is too bad. It's not fair to the cab drivers, because it's not the cab drivers' fault that there aren't enough rides out there. It's not their fault, it's the system's fault. It's the fact that we're not giving them the support that they need to be able to have more accessible cabs. So I said, you know what, that's it, whatever, cancel the ride. I'm just gonna walk home. So I walked home in the cold. Now, it was late November, it's about 3 in the morning at this point, and I didn't really I brought a spring jacket because I have a cab. I figured I don't need a ride home, or I have a ride home, so I'm not gonna be walking, so it doesn't matter. But it was cold. It was so cold. It was so cold my eyes were watering and burning, and I couldn't feel my hands. I didn't have gloves. As I rounded that last corner, to get up to Perth Hall where I live and see the front doors. And you know, like my nose was running, my eyes were burning, I was tired, I was just frozen. And you know, at that point I thought, never again, never ever again am I gonna do this. The non-disabled population, people who walk, people who don't identify themselves as being disabled, they would never allow a transportation company, a cab service, a bus service, they would never allow these people to dictate when they're allowed to leave their houses and when they're allowed to go home. They'd never let a cab company say, I'm sorry, you're not allowed to stay out past midnight, that's your bedtime, time to get you back home. And yet the disabled population are continually told that, and we take it. We allow it to happen. We are absolutely complacent in this. And I say enough is enough. I think the delay is twofold. I think first and foremost, the primary delay is you have this battle right now. You have this collision of commerce, money, power, and humanity, and compassion. Where on one side, we have the humane side, we have the compassionate side, we have the community side. But on the other side, you have money, and you have power, and you have commerce. And you have people like the cab companies who state completely hyperbolically that to make their cabs accessible would collapse the industry. You have people who say that they can't afford the building regulations to make their buildings accessible. You have people with paratransit that say we're doing the best we can with our money, the money that we're being given. And then you have 100 other interests, you have 100 other things that need to be dealt with, that issues that are facing our community that go far beyond disability, that are taking money. This cannot be about disabled and non-disabled, because as soon as you start lining it up that way, you start having winners and losers. And then you start looking at it and saying, okay, well, if we have accessible transportation, the disabled win, which means that the non-disabled lose. It's the wrong way to think about it. It's offensive to both sides. It's offensive to the disabled and to the non-disabled. We need to come together and acknowledge that these are services that we all need. We need to have accessible transportation because for myself, I need it because I physically can't use the other ones. And for other people, they need that opportunity that if something happens, that they will have that. If they have a son or a daughter with a disability, that they know that infrastructure is in place for them, that their children will be able to live the normal life that they deserve, that any other child would get to live, because the infrastructure is there. So we need to come together. We need to come together as a community, as people, as friends, as neighbors, as business owners, as community leaders, as political leaders. We need to all come together and say, enough is enough. 20 years ago, we as a society stated that it was wrong to lock people with disabilities away. We said it was wrong to put them away in homes and institutions, out of the public eye, out of the public life, where we don't have to think about them anymore. And yet here, right now, that's what we're doing. Only it's a different type of institution. Now people are being institutionalized in their own homes because they don't have the ability, they don't have the transportation, they don't have the support, the logistics to get out of their home and to be part of their community. That is something we all need to get behind, because this is a segment of the population who are being egregiously discriminated against. And they're not being discriminated against by people. People aren't out there saying, let's hold down the disabled. They're being discriminated against by the system, by the policy, by the structure of it all. And the beauty is, that is something we can fix. We have the power to fix that. We have the power to change that. So let's get together and let's make some change happen. And not just for the poor people in wheelchairs, not just for the cripples, but for all of us. And let's do something that we can really be proud of as Ontarians and as Canadians, to stand up for people in our society and say, you are the same. We are the same. We have the same rights. You deserve the same opportunity as everybody else. So let's stand up for it, because that's what Canada is all about. That's what we are all about, is about having that equality, about having that opportunity, about having that chance, about having that freedom. So let's stand for it, and let's fight for it, and let's win it.